Happy holidays, you guys. Welcome to tonight's live stream, and we're going to be checking out Moog, the Source sample pack. So for those of you guys who don't know, the Moog Source was the update to the Mini Moog, came out in 1981, and it's a sort of misunderstood synthesizer because it doesn't have all the knobs and everything that the original Mini Moog has, but under the hood, it essentially is a Mini Moog. The same parts that were going into Mini Moogs in 1979, they took those same parts and put them right in to the Source with a couple of differences. But basically, if you want to get a Mini Moog, a vintage Mini Moog, and you don't want to pay 10 grand, the Moog Source is a great way to go. Now, I used to have a Moog Source, but I've recently sold mine. But before I did, I sampled the shit out of it into the Source sample pack. So it's got samples, all of the factory presets of the Moog Source. It was famously used by, I was going to say Front 242, New Order on Blue Monday. That was their biggest hit. And it also was used by Front 242 on Geography, their debut album. And going back and listening to that record that came out in 1982, it is so raw and sort of gritty and has this sort of cold wave thing. It's definitely before Front 242 kind of shifted into the sound that we all know them as. And so I thought tonight it would be a lot of fun to go through the Source sample pack and show you guys everything you get with it. So the sample pack is $20 regularly. But if you use the code GEOGRAPHY for a limited time, so that's Geography, all caps, you can also just go to the link in the description. So that will automatically apply that code. You get 50% off the $20. So you get the pack for $10. It's my happy holidays gift to you guys. And I'm going to show you guys everything you get in it. So tonight, one of the things is that we're going to go through what you get. So the first thing you get with it is a bunch of files. So inside of here, you can see we've got a bunch of waves for every third note of the key bed, and sometimes more than that. Actually, I sampled more than the key bed could actually do. So here's our different patches. We've got Blue Monday, of course. And then if we look over here, we also have the SoundFonts of these. And that's kind of where Tal Sampler comes in. So I like Tal Sampler because it kind of sounds like a gritty old emulator, which Front 242 used, or like my Akai S900 that I have. It can do that sort of lo-fi gritty thing, but it's also just a really simple thing. Tom, the reason not Contact is because I actually don't love Native Instruments' world. I understand that they're the default, but I actually think Tal is, for me personally, I like the vibe better. It's a little simpler. But the great thing is I sampled these with SoundFonts, which are applicable in many, many applications. So you don't only use Tal, but as an addition, after tonight's live stream, I'm going to be actually adding the Tal sampler patches into the Source sample pack. So that'll be in there too. And if you've already bought the Source sample pack, I'm going to send out an email to everybody like, hey, here's the update. Here's, and we're going to have like 20, 25 patches additionally to have that. Aquatic, I never talk about what I've paid or gotten paid for any of my vintage instruments, only because I try to buy synths under value and sell them for as much as I can. And I don't want anybody who's watching this stream who I sold a synth to or bought a synth from to feel ripped off in any way. I'm not interested in ripping anybody off, but at the same time, it's like as soon as you, right, it can sometimes people can have some feelings about that. Yeah, I appreciate that very much to Karmic. That's very kind of you. And the thing is, we'll go through all of this. So I'm going to pull up a basic one here. So what this one is sort of my default sound. Oh, let me turn this on here. So obviously that's the Blue Monday sound. And you can see that if we load in here, let me make sure I'm doing that right. Import SF2, you can see all of the different patches. And so if I load in Blue Monday, just go to import and there we go. We've got the Blue Monday sound. And for some people, it's kind of worth it to get the pack just for that. One thing is here that I actually sort of extended the envelopes a bit for the Blue Monday sound. If you want to get it a little bit more authentic, we need to actually bring the sustain down and bring the decay in here. It's something more like this. It's a little pluckier. You know, so that you can get those really fast. That sort of vibe to it. So that's kind of there. That's like an idea. I've actually created a patch here. So if I just go to Blue Monday here, you'll hear more what it's like. And you can tighten that up if you want, depending on what it is you're going for. Let's just check out some of these other patches real quick, and then we'll get into actually making some EBM and industrial stuff. So here's a cool one. This is Fifth Pluck. And immediately you can see just like the hugeness is great. So obviously this is taking the sample, the, you know, Moog Source samples, but allowing us to be able to play them polyphonically. Beautiful. Just a really huge sound. And it is Moogy, but it doesn't, you know, it's a little bit more than you would necessarily get from something else. I also created a bassline sound from the track Art and Strategy off of Geography. I'm going to make a few others off Geography, cool sounds that you might know from the record. And this one works really great as both a bass, and when you start playing as a pad, it gets really cool. And then if you move up and start, you know, you get this sort of almost FME type sound. So I think being able to actually have these Tal sampler patches in here, obviously not everybody's going to have Tal sampler, but especially after I did the stream on Tal Fa, their recreation of the Alpha Juno, I was so impressed by how good that plugin sounded, how authentic. Yeah, so you get the SoundFont 2s, Tom. So you get the individual samples. So if you want to load it into your Deluge or any sort of sampler, your Electron, what are some other good samplers someone can kick out? You can load them manually into that. If you want to save the time of not having to deal with like looping or anything, if your sampler doesn't support some sort of auto looping, then you can just load the SoundFonts that I've already created, and I did the loops for you essentially. And then you're also going to get the Tal sampler patches. And the trick is you just need to make sure, I believe the way this works, someone from Tal can maybe tell me, you just need to make sure that your presets and your source sample pack folder are on the same drive, and you should be good. Yeah, the thing about the sources is it's thick. It's a really badass. You get this sound from it that's pretty incredible. Law of All asks, who are some of my favorite EBM? I like some of the newer stuff. I'm like a sucker for Assemblage 23 for sure. What are I mean, there's so many incredible ones. I listen to a lot of Nitzer Ebb and Frontline Assembly. Those would probably be the two big ones from back in the day. And then, of course, modern guys, too, like Sebastian Comore, Angel Spit. That's probably my own nepotism there, just because they're fans of the channel. Let's listen to some other stuff going on here. So we got Blue Monday. Let's look at Cross Mod. So this is the sound that I created for this weird sort of thing from operating tracks that sounds kind of like this. So it's really growly sort of a sound. So if you play it down low, that's got that sort of cross-modi sound, but when you play it together, you get that sort of ringing vibe. Yeah, Covenant's great. Rotter Sand, listening to them more recently. I was listening to And One this week, actually. I kind of forgot about that band. So this is how I kind of got that sound from Operating tracks. It's not exactly what they did, and that's partially because I'm not aware that you can do cross mod in Tau Sampler, but it doesn't really matter. It's close enough with the really cool resampler section here. Edgerunner Blues is sort of like a take on a harmonica thing. We're actually using the Moog Source saxophone preset to give us this. And then it plays polyphonically really well too. Especially if you want a pad sound that kind of comes in and gets out of the way. Sometimes pads can be so thick and lush, they sound great on their own on YouTube demos, but then when you actually go to put them in a song, they're like taking up too much bandwidth. So the envelope mod here, the attack and the decay falls down to about 30. So definitely a fun thing there. Let's check out a couple of more here. Iceland's patches to always make when I'm checking out a synth is, can it do the Iceland's preset from the Korg MS-2000? Which it's funny that that's one of my favorite presets, but here we go. We're actually using the high pass filter in here to sort of thin it out because the Moog Source is so thick. If we wanted to get that thickness in, we just pull that out there. But you can hear the noise is so thick that it kind of takes over the sound a bit. Mark Anderson, you were saying Omnisphere 2. That is my favorite plugin by far, but currently in Omnisphere we can't support multi-samples. It's just a single sample. So I thought about doing just creating sounds in Omnisphere with all of my patches and loading in just the individual samples. But the problem is then you're sort of stuck with the one sample stretched across the whole key bed, and I would rather do something like this because we do have the fidelity all the way from the top to the bottom. You're hearing a very clean representation of how the source sounds. Hopefully they'll work on that. Here's a really interesting one. Here's another preset from the Moog Source called Immaculate Vibe, or I called it Immaculate Vibe. So it's basically just a vibraphone preset. And you'll hear this really unique analog keys. Just really gorgeous sounding. Again, if you want this sort of warm analog, sort of glowy sort of thing, we can go really, I didn't want to do just pretty patches. I have a tendency to go kind of pretty. So if you want to go more dark, we've got this really incredible resound. So we have stuff like that in here. And again, I'm going to be adding some more. We got plenty of bass sounds. So I think that's a big part of the Moog Source. It was used largely for bass sounds. Source was also used by bands like Depeche Mode. If you look up their music video for Just Can't Get Enough, you can see Vince Clarke there playing one. does some really great bass stuff. So check this one out. Just really thick. After a month with my discrete synth dub station, says the SE1X, a great source competition or comparison, because it basically is a source under the hood, same thing as a mini Moog. He has become a snob for discrete synths as opposed to chip-based synths. So most of the synths behind me are chip-based, even though they're vintage. And yeah, there might be something there. He says, I think there's a bigger difference between discrete and chip versus VCO versus DCO. And I might agree with that. There's definitely some magic in, say, the CS70M behind me that I don't necessarily get that much of a difference between, say, the Matrix 6 and Prophet 600 behind me. Even though one of them's VCO and one's DCO, we did a stream checking out the differences between the two of them. And to be honest, I didn't find much that I thought that the Matrix 6, I thought the Matrix 6 sounded generally better. The only place you could maybe clock it is on a very detuned pad. I think some people said there's a little more life in the Prophet 600, but for me, that extra life can also make it sound out of tune at a lower lushness value. Well, it looks like I dropped some frames here. Okay, am I back? Are we all caught up? Here we are. So anyways, is the stream back? Are we looking good? Let me know if there's anything off. So here's the bass line sound we started with. And this is just like such a great, source bass line. Like if you really, and you can turn this amount off. We can just center that. And now we're just hearing the Moog Source. This is like the typical Source sound, you know? Call me crazy, but I think there's a little magic in vintage synth samples that you don't get in VSTs because you are listening to the actual synthesizer, whereas if you use these starting points, even if we're talking about the Legend HC, really incredible plugin, does it sound exactly like a Moog Source or a mini Moog or whatever? I don't know. That's up to you guys. I would love to compare it one day. But it's interesting. But I think this patch in particular, and if you want to tighten it up, you can just clean up the release, right? Honestly, listening to this right now, I'm, and not just because I made this preset, but like this is the reason you should buy the pack. And we're actually using, if I'm correct, we're using the Blue Monday. Sorry, go to import SF2. I believe this is the Blue Monday one still. Yeah, it is. And this is just, but we're using a little bit less. We're hearing less of the envelope. So right around there is just so thick. Yeah, Speak and Spell, they used a source on Speak and Spell a lot. I mean, this is just a great patch if you're into retro music. So what else we have? We have the snare. So this is a preset on the Moog Source, and I'm pretty sure the Front 242 used it on Geography as one of their kind of clangy sounds. So this is what it sounds like. So it's like a techno percussion. Little bit of tonality in there too. I've applied some kind of grit from the resampler. What we can do too, I've created this init preset. So let's just load that. This is basically like a very boring Blue Monday patch. So this is where we can listen to all of the different sound fonts without any of the processing. So let's listen to the snare in this case, just real quick so you can hear what it sounds like. So that's the snare, just vanilla out of the source. Yeah, that is true, Tom. The Gaia is the oscillators are all sample based. I'm not sure I can either, Tracy, when it comes to it, but Dub Station's ears are very, very good. Let's check out this lead sound. I'm going to add some more leads. Don't have enough leads yet. But here's just a patch I created on the Moog Source. So this isn't a factory patch. And then adding just, it looks like just a little bit of delay. Has that wonderful source fizz, and a lot of that comes from overdriving the filter. Again, I can't really say for sure that it sounds more aggressive or more harsh than a Mini Moog, but I think it kind of has a little more rip to it. And you just get that wonderful sound to it. If you understand this as, would love to see an indicator of when you're talking about plugins, don't care versus hardware, care. Anyways, great channel and content. I understand that, few. In this case, I'm talking about samples of hardware, so hopefully it's relevant. But it's not going to be for everybody. Worth saying again, there's a discount code, 50% off if you use the code geography. Links in the description to get this sample pack. It's normally $20. Happy holidays, you guys. By the way, can I get a scum cheers in the chat? I just want to say happy holidays to all my friends out there who've made this channel the place to be every Wednesday night if you're a synthesizer sicko like myself. So can I get some scum cheers? Happy holidays, you guys. Oh yeah. Oh. Needed that. Need a little beer in there. Oh yeah. I definitely should check out the Ion at some point. I've heard that before. Here's another bass sound. If you want like a really thick bass. Orlando, how's it going, my friend? Good to see you. Adapt Manipulate, welcome. Here's an interesting thing. I'm using negative key tracking here. So as you go higher up on the keys, you really lose the sound of it. And I think that's good for bass sounds because you can get you actually get a little more bite down at the low end, which is cool. So moving along, Tortured Robots. Now, honestly, I get a little emotional about this patch, which is going to sound super weird, but hear me out. When I bought the Source, it was from a guy who, I believe it was his father, passed away. And his father had cherished this instrument and programmed his own patches onto it. And one of the patches is this patch, and it's gorgeous. And so there's this like thing about it where this patch is like preserved through me sampling it. So there's a guy, and I don't know his name, you know, I never really know where it came from, but it's a gorgeous patch. It really uses the filter and the overdrive of the Source so well. And if you take this sound and play it polyphonically and add some effects, it's about as good as it gets. Again, it might be worth getting this sample pack just for this. And I know it sounds maybe a little like egotistical because I'm the one selling it, but I do review a lot of products on this channel, and there are those sounds that make you go, wow. And I can, you know, feel this way about it because I didn't make the core sound. I got the lucky privilege to preserve this sound in the sample pack. And it's one of the coolest sounds. So this was one of them where I just didn't, I mean, I put some chorus delay and reverb on it, but just even if we listen to the raw sound, I mean, it's just gorgeous. Welcome, Vulture Mom. Welcome, everybody, to the stream. I hope you're enjoying this so far. We'll get into actually making music. I just want to make sure I cover the patches I've made so far with this. Whoops, don't want to load that in. And by the way, guys, actually, this is a good moment. So if we want to take those settings and just apply it to something else, like so this one, Big Daddy, this is a patch that I created. And so we take that same sound font, settings on Tel Sampler, and swap it out with a different sound font, and we'll get this sound. We'll see what it sounds like. Can I get some bacon for that sizzle? So just an example of how you could use these for all sorts of cool sound design. Donnie Carter, welcome to the stream. How's it going? You're not limited just to what I've programmed, of course. So I, of course, had to do a Vangelis brass. There actually is a brass preset in the source, which has a very fast attack. So just by slowing that down, you know, you get... Aquatic, thank you so very much for gifting 10 Vulture Culture channel memberships. That is incredible, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is so kind of you. This is a good moment to remember, guys, to make sure your settings are set up so that you can receive gifted membership. So what do you get with a membership? Well, first off, you get access to all of the beautiful emojis that we have in chat here. And happy holidays to everybody who makes this channel what it's become, which is just a privilege to be here with you guys. I should learn the Prometheus theme. It's definitely very similar, isn't it? Now that you mention it, Parbs. Welcome, by the way, Parbs. You get the emojis, but the bigger thing is you get 50% off all of my products. So, for instance, tonight we're checking out the Moog Source sample pack, which you can get 50% off with a code, limited time, geography, links in the description. That would pair beautifully with Diodes and Rust, my vintage industrial drum sample pack. So you could get that 50% off, get it for $5. I mean, you can't beat that, right? So yeah, really cool patch, and you can play all sorts of... very good. I don't know if it sounds like, to me, Parbs, it sounds like what I imagine the CS80 sounds like. I actually don't know what, like comparing it with the CS70M behind me, I don't think it sounds that close, but it has like a very beautiful analog sound to it, which is what we're looking for out of that sound, right? So we'll run through just the last of these real quick. I just want people who buy the pack to be able to watch this video and basically kind of get an idea. I created a Vox Humana patch. So you know, that's that type of sound, right? Everybody knows that one. Coming to the end of the list here. Oh, here's just another bass sound. You get this really gritty thing up top here. So if you go. I suppose you could turn on some delay here and we'll just kind of do one of these things real quick. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and save that into the patch. So I'll just save this, you know, I like that with that delay in there. I feel like that kind of gives it more of that vibe. And then again, I just want to go through real quick here. So I'm going to load that just init patch here, and then we can import the SoundFonts individually. I want to just cover anything else. Like, so I've got like some really good bass sounds. You can hear how authentic that is. Really easy to just increase the release here. If I load in, let's see where some of the other good ones. So these are all starting points. Latter-day Saints. I think this is another one the original owner of the synth had. I mean, just talk about, like, really, if you love the resonance of a Moog synth, I mean, here it is, right? Yes, and that's another thing too. So for Zondo, Brian, thank you for bringing that up. It's a free plugin. I'm using Tal Sampler just because it's kind of like I paid for it forever ago. So I didn't get it for free or anything. I just think it's a great plugin for this type of thing. But you can use S for Zondo, or however you say that word in Italian, and that's a totally free plugin that loads SF2 and SFV and waves. You can make your own stuff using the WAV files, because again, we've got not just the SoundFonts, but the waves themselves. You can load them into any sampler you want. So what are some other ones that we have in here? Whoopsie daisy. It's easy to forget if I'm loading a patch or something else. So we have a preset that I created some of the sounds from the Taurus. So if you remember, like Rush playing with a Moog Taurus, the foot pedal bass synth, it's got that preset built into it. Again, loading the sound font here. Harpsichord, we got an organ sound. I mean, for whatever that's worth. Yeah, so you can do if you want to do an all analog version of that. I put some of these in here for, it's a patch that was on the Moog Source more than I necessarily was like, oh, I've got to have it, you know. For instance, the sax, I made the harmonica sound with. I don't know, for me, that's like my favorite starting point, but once I use the filters and stuff inside of Tal, we kind of got there. Could sound really cool. Keep doing that. What else do we have? Some different stuff. There's like a sync. So this one's interesting. There's no way to automate sync like you can in a Prophet 5. So when I sampled this, I had to manually do the sync on each note. So that's me actually manually using the mod wheel assigned to the pitch of VCO2 to get these sounds. I had to do that on every note. So there's some resonance in there and the filter sweep to really emphasize it. I mean, is it my type of sound? No, not necessarily, but, you know. It gives you the sense of that, for sure. But it's probably better as a lead, so if you turn poly off and... you do get that wonderful Moog Source growl to it. So let's see if there's any other good ones in here worth pointing out real quick. I guess I'll cover the brass. And again, I can't cover everything in this stream, but just so you guys could hear, this is the original brass patch in the Source. Which I actually think sounds really good, but then when you apply a little bit more to it, you can kind of massage it into sounding a little more CS80. There is a wind sound. I mean, we've got a guitar sound. I haven't made anything yet with this. It's one of those funny things where it's like in the 80s. Actually, with a pretty good amount of releases. It's actually kind of nice. I haven't really loved sounds that kind of give you that like cat meowing sort of vibe to the resonance, and this is one of those patches. Thank you for the lemon emojis there. Welcome to the stream, Hans. How you doing, my friend? So that's another sound. Again, great starting point for sound design. I would probably, even just going into the EQ here, I know the stream isn't about Tau Sampler, but I just want to highlight this real quick. We pull out 3 decibels. That'll help a lot around 2K. Get rid of those like painful frequencies. Little trick you can do. We'll turn the EQ off, and then is there anything else that I want to highlight here before we move on? The Icelands, basically. Okay, so I think we're good. Here's a Vox preset that's built into the Source. Really bright sound. If we go to envelope 2, we sort of take it into almost like let's see, it's almost like a prepared piano type sound, like a bowed piano thing. So if we just kick on some chorus, right? Maybe a little slow chorus. This is the chorus from the Juno, right? Add some delay, slow the delay down, increase some of this stuff, filter it up, increase the volume a bit. And then the reverb is not like the world's greatest reverb or anything, but it's kind of good for this type of thing. We just bring this to like around there, bring it down, and then just, see. I mean, it's actually a very beautiful sound. We just came up super quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. We'll call this bowed piano. So I'll just save as, and we'll call it bowed piano. So this is a new patch. We're going to make some new patches for this sample pack anyways during the stream as we make some music, which I think we should do now. I think I've just covered basically what you get. I'll say for the last time, if you're just here in the stream now, there is a discount code link in the description of this video for 50% off the Source sample pack, which is this guy, the Moog Source from 1981, I want to say. The update to the Moog Mini Moog, but kind of has its own sound, maybe a little bit more of a gritty, raw, distorted sound than a Mini Moog, used by Front 242 on Geography, Depeche Mode on Speak and Spell, Gary Newman, so many other artists use this synthesizer. It's sort of like an underdog, though. It's not the first synth you think of when you think of vintage synthesizers. 50% off. It's normally $20. It's only $10 if you get that. And real quick, guys, too, I want to gift some memberships myself. So hopefully you guys have listened to it. So I just want to wish you guys a very happy holidays. So 50 of you guys are getting memberships to the channel. And so what that means is that you guys are going to get access to all the emojis, as well as all of the 50% off all of my products for this month. Of course, I'd love it if you'd re-up and be members of the channel all the time, but I understand, money's tight and synths ain't cheap. So no pressure at all to keep it up. But I wanted to give everybody this year an opportunity. And by the way, when I buy memberships, when I gift memberships on this channel, I am paying for them with my own money. And of course, I'll see some of that back, but YouTube takes at least a 30% split, if not more than that. So I just wanted to wish everybody who's been part of this channel a major happy holidays from me. And I hope you guys use this. You could get 50% off the Source sample pack, but also 50% off everything. This would pair really great, like I said, with Diodes and Rust, my vintage industrial drum sample pack. It would pair really great with Revenant, which is my vintage digital pad. So if you're more into like ambient music, that's a really good too. Same idea, comes with the SoundFonts and the waves. So super, super cool. Let's jump in to actually making some music now. So I'm going to jump into my DAW here real quick. I'm using Reaper. It doesn't really matter. And one of the things, normally I would be hawking Diodes and Rust as a sample pack, but in Geography, they used a TR-808. They didn't use the PCM-based digital drum machines like the Kwaya R50E on their first record. They certainly used the Kwaya R50E, which is the basis of the Diodes and Rust sample pack. So hopefully some of y'all I'm starting to see the vulture skulls in the chat. So I'm hopefully you guys can enjoy being members of this channel. So happy holidays, everybody. But a really great thing is Satala is a free drum plugin. I think the newest version's like $20 or something like that. But the default sounds in Satala are an 808. So I don't know why I'm not hearing it. Let's see here. Lots of Simmons, yeah. The R50 is your first piece of gear ever. That's awesome, Hans. That's super cool. Yeah, I love the emoji spam, so keep it going. So one of the things I also have going on here is Cassette by Waves Factory is my favorite plugin for this type of sound if you just want to get a little bit of vibe. So if I turn that off, you'll hear just the vanilla samples, but turning on Cassette, get a little bit of vibe into the 808 sound. So I actually just took the drum pattern before, but I've now slowed it down to 105 BPM, and I have one layer that's the snare from the Source sample pack. Panned over. There we go. So we can kind of make like a little loop here, right? Real simple. I'm not going to spend much time focusing on the DAW stuff. I'm going to focus more on making sounds. So why don't we pull up our init here, and we'll just load our init patch here, and let's make a bassline sound. Actually, I forgot you had a TB303, Hans. That's kind of funny, and it's also not a bad source, no pun intended, for maybe the type of sound we might want to do. So why don't we pick a sound that might work? Let's try the Source clav. So this one's kind of cool because it's like a thinner sound. 20 years ago. That's crazy. So why don't we just draw in ourselves a little sequence here. So we'll do something and make sure that and if you guys at any point can't see what I'm doing, just let me know, because it's easy to lose track of where I'm at on the screen capture. But let's draw something in and turn it up a little too. And then we'll do a little. Do something. Let's see what this sounds like. It sounds so silly. Let's so kind of like, you know, out of tune sounding a little bit. That's a good enough little sort of techno-y riff. And then we'll even bring it up and down like this. So this sequence is not the world's greatest sequence, but the idea here is just to give us, yeah. So Tom Server, they definitely used a lot of FM bass on the later records, but when you go back to Geography from 1982, there wasn't any FM in 1982, or there was, I mean, the synclavier, but otherwise there wasn't any access to that. But let's get in here and actually get some sort of 303 action going. And one of the things is I'll turn poly off here, and we'll increase the release a bit. So what I want to do is use the LFO to control the envelope to intensity. So I'm just going to select over here LFO1, and then when I hit this button here, it will just, whatever I move next is now assigned there. So we could just increase that. So what I'm paying attention to is the extreme ranges. I'm not paying attention to the fact that it's a terrible sound right now. So I'm just trying to find like that it doesn't go too low or too high. That sounds pretty good. We need to slow the rate down quite a bit. And let's see, do we have a random? We do have noise. Oh, that's interesting. It's like true noise. Let's see sample and hold, what we think about it. And we can sync it, so we could take it to like, you know, every other note or something. Now, what we need to do is increase the saturation, because like that 303 sound's definitely about getting that going. And we have all sorts of different resamplers. So if we go to like EMU 2, right? We get that, but with linear or variable, we just get. It's kind of I wouldn't say quite 303. Also, we should probably control the decay of envelope too. That would be intelligent, right? So that's giving us like a nice sort of rhythmic thing. Torben, welcome to the stream. How's it going? That we can use. Really what we need now, we can increase the width by actually just detuning the left. So every patch is, or every sound font is stereo. So we can detune the left from the right. If you're listening in headphones, you'll hear what a huge difference that just made. And we could add some chorus if we want something wider. And I think a big part of the sound is going to be getting the sync with like an eighth note D sort of sound. By using offset here, what we're doing is we're changing the difference. So bring it all the way down to fourth D means one side's a fourth D, the other's an eighth D. So. Oh yeah, we got to get an ARP going, Vulture Mom. That's a good point. So yeah, this is just a kind of a, I'll bring some of the high end out. So that's kind of a cool place to take us into that territory. So I'm going to save this patch now as Hans Lost 303. There we go. So that'll be a patch that you can get in the sample pack. Again, I'll shoot an email out with the update with all of these patches from tonight's live stream. So we've got kind of our first sound here, and I'm going to just import a new one of these. And we'll just go to, what is it? Tel Sampler. There we go. And load the, oh, I gotta make sure I get in here. Sample robot. Here we go. And the source init patch here. And so there we go. We got a new one. And so this is our vibe. So we got to get an ARP in there, right? So that's definitely critical. So let's load in one of our patches. What would be a good one for this? I'm trying to think. Actually, we might be able to just do it with the init patch. Might be fine. So if we're doing an ARP, let's go up higher. So we'll go. And we'll do just like a simple little pattern here. So. Wrong. What do you guys think? Maybe up an octave? I'm going to do a little key thing there. So we get a little weird note in there. So. And that's kind of a good little art pattern here. We could mess with it later. But again, the point here is more creating the vibe, and simple works for this genre, right? Now, let's load a new, first off, we'll just duplicate this so that I've got another one later. But we'll load just a new sound font in here. Why don't we go for the flute? Let's check this one out. Already, we're kind of in the territory. So the first thing we need to do is adjust the amp sustain. Where's my, am I on the wrong one here? See if I'm on the, where the fuck am I? Let's get this going on, here. There's the flute. I'm using Reaper. Yeah, how much dissonance is not too much but required. I heard someone describe this once, and I wish I remember who it was. They were talking about like techno music and techno bass lines, and they said, you know, you want to keep it to like a minor scale, but take a couple of notes out of key, because otherwise it sounds a little cheesy. And I was like, yep, that definitely kind of tracks. So here's a flute sound. That might not be hard enough. We might need something a little more. Let's go for the Mini Moog lead. This is a one that basically is the sound of the, you know, OG Mini Moog. So the first thing we're going to do is just tighten that up. And then we're going to tighten the filter decay down too. Okay, so that sounds good. Let's get it to alternate here. So the way we're going to do that is by selecting the volume here, and then volume B, and then we're going to go to alternate, and we're going to bring this up by about, what is it? About 50%, I think is the right answer. And then down by 50%. Something like this will get us the left and right thing that I used on the operating track bass. There we go. Take it a little shorter. You want to go even tighter than that? Wow, Torben. We do have the option for digital envelopes too if you want to get really... So I want to modulate with an LFO. So just again, grab the cutoff here. And we're going to just use LFO 1. Or just slow it down. And I'm leaving it unquantized, so we just get kind of like a random movement in there. The trick with this is going to be the delay, though. If you turn sync off and kind of, you know, do it by ear too, it should be a lot of fun. At 57.57 seconds is like right on the money. So We don't need that much. I just want to be able to hear it. So we'll just get a little in there. Using a little high pass filter here just to pull this out here. I really appreciate it, Uncle Jerry. Thank you for being part of this community, and happy holidays to you, man. Maybe the decay of the filter a little faster. Sure thing, man. I think TAL Sampler's like 79 bucks or something. It's not the cheapest thing. I love it though. And it also comes with TAL DAC, which is a really great plugin for just emulating the sound of vintage digital synths. I think it's the best. I actually bought the sampler because I wanted that for free. Yes, and so I've sampled the source into TAL Pliskin. By the way, happy holidays. Some kind of wobbly pad, Torben. I think that is the right answer. So first we're going to save this as, what do you think? Fast sequence. Really, really a cool one. Really, actually a quite cool one. The bass is good, but I want to get a different... I want to try it with a better, thicker bass sound. So we could try the string bass and see what happens. And that's a great thing about once you've programmed a patch, you can swap out the SoundFonts. The Blue Monday sound kind of works always. Let's try electro. That's really cool, but maybe a little much for this one. Let's try Latter Day. I think that's a better a better one there. So we'll just call that Hans's Lost 303 there. Bring it down a little in the mix. I've lost complete control here, so let me make sure I'm on the right one here. So okay, that is fast sequence. I need to type these in. Fast sequence. And then there we go. Good. And then why am I not hearing this one? What's wrong with this guy? Get rid of that. Oh, there we go. That's the that was the trick to it. So let's just load the source init patch here. So and so what we'll do is, oh, Violator Vibes. That is a compliment for sure. Let's load in. We have, what do we have? Pads. We already did a Tortured Robot pad in here. A lot of the leads and bass sounds, honestly, work fine for pads too. What would be a good one? You want a wobbly pad. Square Layer might work. So we have ourselves a nice square wave. Tons of high end too. So that's going to give us plenty to work with. Let's detune a little further. You want to get swirly cheap? Turn the Juno 1 chorus on. Let's apply the LFO to the tuning. So let's go LFO 1 for the tuning of both oscillators. So I'm going to just do fine tune and then fine tune, right? And now if I increase this, we should get... That's too much. Dial it back to like 50. And if we dial the rate... You see, we have this nice, slow filter sweep built into the sound. Pan modulation, too. So we can actually maybe even use the same LFO there to control the pan. So we'll just do LFO 1 and LFO 1. And then we'll go to volume, or sorry, volume and volume. And, oh, wait. We'll see if this works. We'll bring it down to -50. I don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of fun. We'll turn it up to 50 and see if we get panning. We get panning. We can actually take it even further. Let's take it to like 75, so it's really wide. And we'll turn the rate down even slower, like 0.5, something in here. Oh, don't worry, Torben. We're going to bring it down for sure. So we'll increase the release on both the filter and amp envelope. I like it when the filter envelope's release is faster than the release, so you can hear the filter close as you take your fingers off the keys, right? And we can just bring the envelope amount down. So if I bring it all the way down, we're way too... Envelope 1, let's increase the attack. We could try the attack here too. It's got a very kind of Juno-y type sound. And bring the decay down a bit. So if it's too detuned, why don't we take the detuning out from A and B? You're right, it is a little detuned. So let's bring it down just subtly. How does that sound in terms of tuning? That sounds pretty good to my ears. So bring the sustain down a bit. A little much. I like a pad that comes in, grabs your attention, and then takes a step back. Leave some room for the rest of the track, you know. This is a very warm... We could increase the resonance a bit if we want to get that. It does kind of sound... It's giving vaporwave-ish. That's right, Pliskin. It's giving Juno 106. What are some other things we could do to you know, clean this up? We could add... I like a really low Q, and let's go for like 4K. So it's going to be like kind of a high frequency, and we'll just boost it up a bit. Give it a little bit of air. I think with it off... Little harsh there, so let's bring it up even higher. I don't want that too crazy. Just getting a little air on the top, right? Envelope 1 could have longer release. Envelope 2, even 75 or so. What do you guys think? Something like that? I went to go like adjust the pulse width modulation. The Source doesn't even have pulse width modulation. You can manually control the pulse, but that's it. It sounds really lush though. You wouldn't know that it doesn't have pulse width mod on it. I don't know about you guys. If I was just listening to that sound and someone was like, "Yeah, that's an Oberheim," I'd be like, "Believe it." And check this out. If I like it with the square, but again, if we just pull in Vangelis, right? I don't know. What do you guys prefer, the square or the brass sound? Sounds good with the resonance. That's the thing. I like the resonance of Tau Sampler better. If we go back to the square, you know, we could get this sort of. It does sound better. The brass does sound better, but I want to keep it in the square layer just so we have like kind of this different type of sound. Since I already have a really cool brass pad type thing. Ober who? We'll call it that. And so now the trick is going to be actually, you know, incorporating this into the track and seeing what works. So. I'll just record this in real quick. I need to loop a little bit more, I think, actually. So let's just loop this section, try that again. Let's just clean up that MIDI a bit. I think I can do that just by, what is that, like an eighth note? Let's sync all of that and quantize it about right. And then we'll just clean this up. Trying to do it by eye here. Looks about like, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, guys. All right, and we'll just clean this up. If I'm looking at this correctly, this should have gotten the MIDI right. We didn't even add like any delay or reverb to it. It just sounded so good, but we probably should have some, right? you know, definitely the indicator of a good patch, right? As if it sounds kind of good on its own. So just, you know, I've been tweaking things as I'm going, kind of fiddling it all together to try to get a vibe, you know. I think what we could use next would be something like almost like a Hoover type sound. So let's see if we could do that then. You know, again, which just is how you build up a track. So I'm going to load my default preset here, which I have to go and find. Keep jumping around. Source in it. And then turn the overrun pad off. Oh, you want to go 1 octave lower? So we could do that. We could just jump in here and... see how it sounds an octave lower. I think we need a little bit of like some grime to it though. Gave it some grit now. Gave it some nastiness, and that's going to immediately take us into that front 242 sort of sound. Let's keep going. So let's pick the most detuned sounding of the bass. We might use electro, but I think Big Daddy. This is that motherfucking type of sound. So again, we're going to modify the LFO to fine pitch, but maybe only for one oscillator. Oh, with LFO1, here we go. Oh, that's interesting. What if we assigned it to chorus? Oh, it's interesting. It doesn't like modify that in real time. It's like every time you hit it. That'd be useful for getting all sorts of cool types of sounds. You know, if you want to get like random CV voltage type sounds. So let's delete that and apply it to tune. Maybe? That's how we get more of that type of sound. Parb says, just goes to show that having good source samples and a quality sampler synth engine gets you that vintage vibe. Yeah, I think this is a very good way. Again, you don't need to use Tal Sampler. I just happen to be using this. You could use like stock reverb and delay plugins and get very similar results. And something like S for Zando, I always pronounce it wrong. But basically, if you Google free sound font player, that'll pop up and it'll play all these sounds for free. You don't need any of this more fun stuff. But let's... So everybody knows the secret to a Hoover, right, is getting that pitch bend a la the Alpha Juno. So let's apply that envelope 3 to both tune A and tune B. And then we'll try to see if we could get some sort of sound to it. Obviously, that's a little much, right? Another thing we can do is we can center the pan and then bring one of them up. So we have an octave, and then we could just add the chorus to get the width again. It's getting pretty close to that Alpha Juno. And again, we could swap this out for like electro and see what we get. To me, that's also kind of Alpha Juno-y, but I think we probably will get the best results. We could try it with Taurus too. Taurus is a really good one. It's going to be Big Daddy. Big Daddy's the sound. Now let's just get it wider. We need some width to it, right? This time we don't need so much size. Uncle Jerry says, I don't go to church, but if I was the keyboard player, I would go in there and do this and watch everybody's minds melt. Yeah, we haven't even touched the filter or anything. We probably don't need to, right? If we wanted to, we could just bring this decay down. We want to just bring that high end out after that drop. I'd leave it on the default variable. Now, if we want to take it into some dirty territory, we could go to like EMU 2, that the S1000 is great because it's still got the saturation. And then jitter is where it just gets fucking insane. I don't think we're going to need it, but like the saturation hiss off the Akai, you know. Talk about a fucking sound. So we're going to call this one as Hoover Grande. And we'll see. I like having in this type of music, you know, like kind of a big swelly type, not swell, what's the word, like synth fall. Just so we have something in there like that. And then in this case, what we'll do is go back in the towel sampler. Now this is where you could turn this on or off. So I'm going to build it into the sound using this high pass filter. But so I'll leave it in the patch, but I'm going to turn it off when I save it. So this is for mixing it in. I think we need it to trigger more often than that. I think just maybe every... I know it's kind of an annoying sound, but I love this type of thing. increase some resonance in there, so we listen to just that. So it's a little thinner. I'm going to darken it now. We got the high pass, and then bring the envelope amount down. It's going to darken the sound. Sure, keep that in key there, right? But we could turn the EQ off. It's just got so much low end, it's going to take over everything. So by EQing that out. So here's the sound kind of with the envelope down and the EQ up. I'm going to turn that off and turn the envelope all the way up to save it though. So you get the whole sound, you know. Honestly, it sounds really great that way too. So I think we only, you know, especially looking at time, I've been enjoying this stream so much, I haven't actually been paying attention to time that much. It's just been great sharing my holidays with you guys. And again, I just want to say happy holidays to everybody out there. If you're just joining the stream, you haven't been here yet, the discount code to get the Source sample pack, which is everything you're listening to, except for the drums, of course, is geography. All caps, links in the description will automatically apply it. Let's do one more sound. Let's do a lead. So we're going to just load in here the Source init patch here. And we'll get a new sound font here. And we're going to go for, we got a few lead sounds. We could go for the sax, the mini Moog lead. Let's go mini Moog lead. I feel like that's... But for me, one of the tricks is going to be bringing that. Hey, how's it going, Rob? Happy holidays. So first off, I'm going to turn poly off. Another thing we might do is just do like a 2K dip, right? So let's just go to 2K and pull out some. Just get rid of that like painful, so I went to 3K and... Definitely has a sort of a sound. Let's widen it up a bit. Add some chorus. So getting a little bit of like flutier, harmonicier tones in there from that. Another thing we could focus on, what are some ways? We should probably get a little bit of gentle vibrato in there. So let's just go to LFO1 again. LFO1. And we'll have it go, I wish there was like a master tune, but we'll just assign it individually. And we'll add, you know, a bit of vibrato to it, right? Back to EQ, let's cut some of the low end out. It's just the source is so thick, but on a lead. It might be a little too pretty, so. Envelope 2, let's bring the decay. More haunting, slow attack, vibrato. Okay, so we could do that. That's taking it into brass, but if I just... I love doing decay, no attack, slow decay on the filter, and then no decay, a little bit of attack on the amp. Now it's almost coming to like a violin-y. We could put it in two voices in polyphonic. This is good for leads where you don't get the voice stealing. But one's probably fine for now. We could add a little bit of portamento. Oh, I have knocked my camera here. Let's just kind of try to vaguely get that looking like it was kind of back to where it was. It's a little fucked up now. Yeah. Oh, we went down a notch. We'll say it's about right. Increase saturation to full because it's industrial. It's almost giving like a tomatone now. You really hear what jitter does there. Little hiss. Let's bring the bit rate all the way down. That's giving it a lot of high end. So, of course, delay. Let's bring the time tight, but a big offset. Giving it almost like a slapbacky type of thing. Filter out the low end. Actually can take a little high pass out now. Might not need the hiss. That might be taking it too far. I think that's a pretty good sound. If we want to add some reverb, you know, we could get huge with it. And then just bring that down. Filter out some of the high end. I love the sound of the jitter because it kind of sounds like that mechanical noise from the source itself. So yeah, pretty cool. Let's go ahead and save this as what should I call this one? This one's interesting. So again, you get all of these patches too for free with the sample pack. Any Moog gone rogue. There we go. Now let's see if this will actually work into the sound. Let's see if this will work into the groove, if we can fit it in anywhere. LFO in there. Grab that and let that kind of do its thing. So we've got ourselves a nice little loop here, you know, if we wanted to sequence this out real quick. So we just have kind of like a little small basis of a track. I'm going to turn let's solo or loop this part. I want to just mess with this lead a little bit more. Sensitive it is to this one little setting right here. For Torbit it's not working, but no bass, no drums, and main riff, key changed. Would be cool in this context. Yeah, you could just drop, you know, go into something, and obviously if we, you know, why don't we do another loop of this real quick, right? And something like this, and we'll just, I'll mute this one, and then we'll just go into this drum pattern here real quick and just mute all of those. And, you know, so we have like a little drop here. We have a whole loop. And we could get rid of the lead at this part. So here's our whole thing from start to finish. Where this isn't muted, but we just bring in, yeah, so it drops here. Here too, but we'll leave the clap in and we'll do a little one of those, so it's just here right at the end. And to your point there, why don't we just duplicate this real fast, Torben, and pull this one up here. So we got turn Portamento off and load, or import an SF2 here. And we'll go with the flute. Let's do that. Kind of like a theremin-y type sound, right? And we'll just save this real quick as, let's call this flageolet. That is not how you spell that word. Just like a little, you can hear that noise from the source. Make it real thin too. And now we'll just load that in here. Maybe real high. We'll see how it sounds really high up there. I have let's add a couple of voices. Make it polyphonic. We'll do an octave here. the motherfucking source. So I hope you guys have found the stream to be helpful. And again, it's my holiday gift to you guys, 50% off the source sample pack, normally $20, $10 if you use code geography. And that's all caps. If you hit the link in the description, it'll automatically drop that code. You know, I think this has been a fun one. This has been cool. And I hope you guys had some fun with it. I know I certainly did. And yeah, I definitely will do some vocals in some upcoming streams, I think. But for now, it is what it is. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun with this one. I like kind of deviating from my typical stream format. I have a few different formats now, kind of ones where we create music, ones where we focus on one synth in particular. And I was hoping with this one to sort of kill two birds with one stone. Been meaning to do sort of like a video owner's manual for the source sound pack and like actually let people hear what you're getting with it, as opposed to just getting the pack and like there's no like what's in it, what's it sound like. And then also to sort of celebrate one of the biggest uses of the Moog Source, which was on Front 242's first record, Geography. So it was a lot of fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if nothing else, hopefully it exposed people to that type of sound. And, you know, Geography had such a different sort of vibe than everything Front 242 did after. And I don't know if it's like my go-to record when I just want to get like that dopamine hit of Headhunter and all of their other big tracks. But there's something about that sound, like going back to it, I was like, this is really raw sounding. It's not the kind of polished, clean, electro Belgian, new beat sort of thing. You know, nothing digital inside. It was just raw analog. It was giving me Hans Vold vibes, you know? And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. So I hope you guys definitely enjoyed it. And yeah, it was cool. And it was fun to do it with all of you guys. And I hope you guys use your memberships to their fullest potential, you know, and get those discounts on the products, because that's a cool thing. And you'll also be able to blast some emojis in upcoming streams, which is also a lot of fun. So listen guys, I know not everybody's got family for the holidays, but you're part of my family now, so happy holidays. I hope you guys have a really great one. We'll be back next Monday at 9 p.m. We're going to the end screen and it's going to say Wednesdays at 9, but this coming week it's going to be Monday at 9 again to avoid New Year's Eve. And so I'm going to see you guys next Wednesday at 9. Continue to be excellent, guys, and I will see you there.